Inside with Jen Psaki and Colin Allred, our Congressman Colin Allred, they did a great job of deconstructing not only what occurred in Allen, Texas, the massacre that occurred, but they did a lot more. They expanded the discussion. And I want you to listen to this because I think I watched a whole lot about what was going on and the people's point of view. And I think they expressed it in the most human form possible. But it's not only that. I think this one reaches people who think there is no other choice. Check this out. We'll take it on the other side.
Many of us don't feel safe from guns anywhere. Every time my kids, age 5 and 7, walk out the door these days, I am scared to death for their safety. And I know I am not alone. If you don't feel safe at schools or places of worship, you are not alone either. If you don't feel safe at grocery stores or parades or movie theaters, you're not alone. And if you don't feel safe at shopping malls, you are not alone. And if you are sick of being told that calling for change is politicizing tragedy, you are definitely not alone. The issue here is not about you being outraged or fearing for your own life and the lives of loved ones. The problem is not you calling for change and for leaders to actually do something. The people politicizing tragedy here are not the people calling for change. The people politicizing tragedy are those fighting against change. And unfortunately, Texas is a prime example. Here's what Governor Abbott had to say at an NRA convention held in Texas just days after the shooting in Uvalde last year.
Remember this. There are thousands of laws on the books across the country that limit the owning or using of firearms. Laws that have not stopped madmen from carrying out evil acts on innocent people in peaceful communities.
So clearly, Governor Abbott felt pretty good about the gun laws in his state at that time. And boy, has he continued to make the NRA proud. Texas doesn't require a person to pass a criminal background check before buying a gun from an unlicensed seller. Texas does not require you to obtain a license before carrying a handgun in public. And not to be outdone, Greg Abbott's pals in the United States Senate have worked hard to keep the NRA in their good graces as well.
This is not an excuse to infringe the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens. Doing that will do nothing to fix tragedies like this.
Inevitably, when there's a murder of this kind, you see politicians trying to politicize it. You see Democrats and a lot of folks in the media whose immediate solution is to try to restrict the constitutional rights of law-abiding citizens. That doesn't work. It's not effective. It doesn't prevent harm.
And guess what? They both have sterling A ratings from the NRA to show for it. And yes, they've always have the right words to say for the base. They always have the right talking points, plenty of thoughts and prayers, and calls for outraged citizens not to talk politics. But when families have suffered, when communities are reeling as they are in Allen today, refusing to act to protect the people in your state out of fear of your base of support is politicizing tragedy. Refusing to support common sense gun reform measures because you fear losing your A rating with the NRA is politicizing tragedy. So don't be muzzled by the people who accuse you of politicizing a mass shooting when you call for change. They want you to be silent, and they want you to let this slip from the headlines so that they can go back to being comfortable instead of politically courageous. Joining me now is Congressman Colin Allred, who represents a district very close to where the shooting happened yesterday. He just announced his run for Senate against Ted Cruz.
Every North Texan knows that outlet mall. It's a place where you can go to get good deals. It's not a place where you should be worried that a madman's going to come in and try and murder you and your family. I couldn't agree with you more about being so worried about your kids. Every time I send my 4- and 2-year-old off to school, see them go off with someone else, I worry about them. But it doesn't have to be this way. Our public places don't have to become memorials. That church could just be where your daughter got married. It doesn't have to be the site of the next mass shooting. These are policy choices that have been made by the state of Texas and, of course, largely blocked in the United States Senate, leading with Ted Cruz.
Congressman Jeff Leach, who represents Allen, a district very close to your current congressional district, had this to say last night.
Here we are, and we are resolute in in our commitment to pray for, praying and believing for the victims and their families.
Everybody puts forward thoughts and prayers. Of course, everybody's praying for people during this moment, but he didn't have any solutions in there. How do you reason with somebody like that?
Well, prayer is important, but so is action. And we know that there are common sense steps that we can take to make sure that this doesn't happen in our country. We're not more violent than other countries. We don't have a more predilection to violence in this country. We have easier access to weapons of war that can do more damage than other countries do. And that's why we keep having this happen over and over and over again. It's a form of mass terror. When you don't feel safe in public, it's also impacting your freedom. This is something that I think we all understand implicitly, that if you're not free to go out to the mall or to the movie or to your place of worship, then you have been impacted by this. And that's what we are seeing. Every single parent, I think, on Monday, tomorrow, is going to feel something when they drop their kids off at school. They're going to feel that worry.
The idea that two young people, Congressman Colin Allred and Jen Psaki, who has kids, can actually see that the Texas Republican government, for all practical purposes, has taken the freedom of Texans away, and with that, Americans away. The evil that lies within, because they want to be A-raters with the NRA, because there is money in politics and all of that, it cannot be seen in any other light. And the idea now is for Americans to understand that they are already, Texans to understand that they are already empowered to go ahead and force the change. Those thugs in Austin, those thugs that populate Congress, who are simply doing the bidding of the NRA and the gun organizations, they can be voted out. But you have to take the step to make sure that you vote really for life. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.